Hey,
Hi, good to see you. Thanks for talking to me today.
I'm Victoria,
Hi,
and
Victoria. Nice to meet you.
so thank you so much for sitting down with me today. First question, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about yourself and like where you got started for GINkGO BaLBOA.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Bednarsky, frontman at GINkGO BaLBOA, and I am from Shelton, Connecticut, which is just about an hour outside New York City. It's a nice, sleepy train commuter town sort of vibe, kind of like a Gilmore Girls town, if you've ever been to any of those or seen those on TV.
I love that show.
And yeah, I've never actually watched a full episode of that show, but there's people who've asked me, "Oh, you're from Connecticut? Is it like that?" And then I have a tattoo for the tri-state area on my farm on my arm because all these are, like inexplicably linked. Just
Yeah, I'm
the
from New Jersey.
oh, okay, yes, you get it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I grew up there, and I always wanted to come to LA. It was it's one of those things. It was a bucket list thing. I knew I wanted to spend some time in my adult life there, and I come from a family of musicians, so it was just the mix of the two, like music, hopefully being the leader of a band or doing my own solo thing and moving to Los Angeles. It wasn't a static thing. There were other chapters of my life that happened first, but then it did end up happening. And that's when GINkGO BaLBOA began, because Ben and myself met when we were working. I was just trying to get more involved with the music scene in whatever ways I could. I was finishing up a solo album that I did come out with called Misspent Youth. And it's more like art rock and some folk and stuff. But I was figuring out what I wanted to do with that and trying to find a music community, because before LA, I was living in Manhattan, and I had a hard time with just, I don't know, the music scene. I wasn't ingratiating myself or inserting myself into it in the same way. So anyway, I moved to LA. I was becoming involved with music and events. There was an events company that I started working for, and that's where I met Ben, and we bonded over a love of some obscure 90s bands that I never got a chance to talk to anybody about. And we're like, oh, this is cool. I like this guy. And then, have a beer here, maybe smoke a little weed here, like, okay, cool, cool, cool. I trust this dude. And it was only like my first year really living in LA. I moved here in 2017, but it was just like, that was a trial period. And then I moved, I found a better place, and then I started doing that stuff. So yeah, so that's how GINkGO started. It started a year after that. We had to become friends first and then decide like we wanted the same things with our music career, and we were going to work just as hard as each other. So
Do you guys have like the same like music inspirations, I guess, since you guys like kind of met up together and you guys like had like a bond?
yeah, sort of. I wouldn't even say it's inspirations. It's more so just like a love for. It's weird. Like I was listening to. So there's a band called Slint, and I've said this in a lot of interviews, but they are like, I guess he would call it a math rock band. I would call it more of a slowcore band. And I loved their atmospheric quality and their poetry. That the lead singer would do this thing where like he would kind of speak. It was almost like spoken word, but his voice was buried by the instruments, so you almost can't really tell what he's saying. And I thought that was really cool aesthetically. And I think Ben likes it for different reasons. I can't speak for him, but it was an inspiration in the sense that how it made me feel. But I never had the intention of us making that kind of music, at least not as GINkGO. And I want to say our influences that really spearhead our work and our drive together, like our shared drive, are completely different. Um, Ben's more into experimental stuff, and I'm really all about the pop sensibilities. I want a 3.5 minute song. I want the chorus to repeat at the end. I want there to be a bridge if I think the main melody, is going to be redundant, just to like separate things. But he's more like, let's just see where we can turn something on its head, which is totally cool. But different schools of thought, absolutely. I guess we met halfway.
But, like in the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I did see was the one that sent me your music, and I became like really interested in the sound that you guys have. And the first that I heard was Balloon Duty, so I wanted to get like a little bit into that, like your EP, and
Mm-hmm.
interested in knowing like what song do you think is like the pinpoint of like the meaning of the album, like if you were to pick a song off of it.
Ooh, the meaning of the album. Let's see, because each song is about a different thing, but I want to say the opening track. I want to say "Tie Me Down" actually, because the lyrics sound, I don't want to say on the nose, but they sound like obviously about a relationship or someone ripping off the band-aid of something that isn't working, whatever that means to them. But we also meant that as a double entendre to kind of wink at people that may have written us off as one dimensional. Like when our first EP came out in 2020, we were excited because we had this like SoCal party vibe, chill, you know. There was a director we worked with who was like, he was like, you're not gonna show like a bunch of money as you're leaning in front of a Lamborghini. Like you don't have to do that, you know. Like that's not. You're just kind of like, hey, we're going to the beach. Here's a six pack. You want my borrow my surfboard and have a beer, you know, that kind of thing. And we were like, yeah, that's cool. And we leaned into it, and it's good because it's a large swath of people are comfortable with that, you know, those kinds of ideas and ideals. So we appreciate that, but we thought some people kind of like, you know, thought there wasn't any wisdom there, introspection. So we were like, okay, well, you can't tie us down. Let's show you a little bit more of what we're capable of, even though we're still singing about mostly dating and hanging out and stuff. So yeah, so I feel like that sums up. It really gives it that sequel feel.
Thing is, like, when I heard your first, EP, it's, like, it is very relaxing as, like, a listener, like, I'd bring my headphones to the beach type of sound, and then when you're listening to this, like, you're ready to go out, like, dance, like, especially with "Tie Me Down." Like, it definitely has, like, that 80s pop, like, synth type of sound, I feel like. More serious lyrics, but it's still, like, you wanna dance, which is, like, what I love about.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing. We want to kind of like, you know, because then that reaches more people. It's like when they hear lyrics like that and they're expecting something that, you know, is maybe just, oh, we're just going to dance and nothing else matters. It's kind of like, oh, these guys have two different, you know, things going on at once, which we thought would be interesting. So yeah, glad you noticed that.
That's the best part about music though, is like it grabs 2 different types of people at least. So the people who really like music, they're gonna be really into a song like that, and then the regular listener, they're gonna be bopping all the way. They're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. And we make all that intentional because although it's easy to fall into the snobby musician camp, it's like, well, that's not helping anybody. Like we want to be accessible and reach a lot of people. So if you just want to dance, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you on a lesser wavelength than anybody else. That just, you know, it. In fact, you know, that bon vivant is probably, you know, I would say preferable, just to living your life while you're alive. So, but yeah,
Exactly.
we play around.
Interested to know also, I saw that you have 2 singles that were released this year that were not on the EP. Is there a reason why?
Oh, yeah, so Beach with My Lover and Good Night in the Middle of the Day, we thought they were a little bit, the Balloon Duty songs we worked on a collective, even though there was one of those songs that began in 2019 and we retooled and changed from Balloon Duty, we did work on all those songs as a collective. So we had the idea that this was like a whole story. So uh, Beach Beach with My Lover and Good Night in the Middle of the Day were not a part of that. No. So it was definitely an intentional thing. It wasn't just like, oh, these are done. Let's get these out first. But in retrospect, I think they could have fit on the album, on the EP actually. But then it maybe would have gone into, you know, when you add more songs, it changes the whole scope of things. If you're the kind of person that listens to start from finish, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, those have been Beach is like I wrote most of the melody to that, the vocal melody, and then the actual composition like back in 2021. So it's like in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a summer 2021 song. I think that was hot girl summer or whatever, right? But and so it's like right when the pandemic is kind of ending, but not really. So in my head, I'm like, oh, we could have released that right then. And then Good Night was more of a 2022 song. So it was fresh. But anyway, yeah, those were separate on purpose for sure.
Okay, so I was curious because I was like, they're really good songs, but I was just curious as to why.
Thank you.
Also, what was like the creative process, writing Balloon Duty? Like creative and
It
like.
will. Yeah, we set our sights from the beginning on making a sequel to the first EP, but with a little asterisk next to it, just like the same fun vibes, but we're gonna get a little deeper. We're gonna get a little darker. We're gonna talk about things that we might normally not talk about, but we're not gonna force it. So we laid out, we made like the equivalent of storyboarding a music video, except for record. We were trying to be like, what were the things, based on the songs that we are creating, what are they going to be about? Where would they go in the order, that sort of thing. So we tried to develop an entire blueprint and then fill in everything else instead of just winging it. So that was part of the process. We had, yeah, and like I said, we had one song that was a layover from 2019, one of the first songs we ever worked on, which is SIMF, which stands for She Is My Friend, which you can hear in the chorus, and then it becomes evident. But Symph, that song was one of the first we worked on, and it was at this little studio in Van Nuys, California, and this is all pre-pandemic, and still trying to figure out whether or not we could do this, like if we had the rapport to work on things creatively. So yeah, so we kind of pulled that one out and put it in a new form of artistic shrink wrap and made it ready. All the other ones were, yeah, it was just like working on everything all at once and agreeing on the talking points lyrically and the melodies, etc.
You guys produce your own music, right? Like you guys do it yourselves?
Yeah, we not always, but we're trying to do everything in house now. Yeah, in the past we've worked with Johnny Yono. We've had our live drummer Nick Caprino master some of our songs and mix them as well. But yeah, it's something we are in constant talks about. I would like to have a different engineer for every record if it were up to me, but it's also makes sense for us to do things in house because the technology is there now. You know.
That's true. I know some people like to do different like engineering just to make the album sound a little different or just to like make different sounds with where they're going. Like make more progression, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, it's cool when something has like a fingerprint. When Justin Timberlake works with when you hear Timbaland, when you hear his production, you're like, oh, that's clearly his production. And I like that. Like, when Nirvana worked with Steve Albini, it's like, oh, that's a different album. With In Utero. I guess so. Yeah, I'm with that. But that's kind of one of the things I think we disagree on. I'd rather someone who's not us just make the decisions and then not tell us, because I'm like, well, my voice should be up here, like it should be high in the cut because it's the lead vocals, but then there's a guitar solo that's super rad that he wants to be present, which I want to be present too, but we'll kind of be like, well, we do this instead of this. So yeah, when an engineer is involved, then you kind of like are forced to be hands off, and you don't have the ear fatigue of listening to the song over and over. You don't have that haunting you. So
You guys need like a
that
neutral party.
exactly, yeah, yeah, with mutual interest. It's like we want the song to be good. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
If you guys were to, well, I guess if you were to pick a song off Balloon Duty that's like your favorite to recommend to somebody, which one would you pick?
It would definitely be "She Is My Friend," and the reason why is because I like how it came out. I like the listenability of it. It's kind of, I think it's a little bit more risk taking. It's almost like "God Save the Beauty Queen" from our first album. It's our first EP. It's like, I feel like it stands out. If you really listen to it, it's like, whoa, okay, what are these guys doing? What are they capable of? So I like it artistically, and I love everything about the production, but also the personal history to it. It's just like, I can't believe that it took us this long to put this song on a release, but I'm so happy because it went through so many different maturations. So in that sense, yeah, I like Symph a lot. But let's see, a close second would be Helena Troy, because Morning Sun, we wanted to work with her for a long time, and her vocals are just, if you had a chance to hear it,
Yeah.
it's just, she's incredible. Yeah. And honestly, the whole Stranger Things 80s synth menacing pop thing, like I want to make a whole record that way. If we weren't having an open dialogue about, oh, let's get more experimental, or oh, let's add more guitar, that kind of stuff. If I did like a solo album, the first thing I'd probably do would be like a new solo album now would probably be like that kind of synth. But then again, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna make a blues album, or I'm gonna make a country, like a folk country Americana. There's so many ideas swimming around, but we
At least
definitely are able
new
to.
synth is kind of in right now. Like you have like new wave in right now. Like
Yeah, right.
Mode, you have Kate Bush, you have like so many different artists that people are listening to right now. The Cure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And I feel like a lot of that's timeless. And I see, I don't know what the generation behind Zoomers would be, but whoever's in high school now, I see like kids skateboarding in LA with giant Smiths shirts. And I'm like, oh, that's just so cool. Yeah. So I feel like absolutely we were trying to tap into that, and that was a genre personally I always wanted to work with. I've been told for years that I have like a Phil Collins element to my voice. So I was like, well, let's do something with that, man. Let's tap into that. So
Well,
yeah.
that's why I heard Balloon Duty. It was interesting because like the first thing that came to my mind actually was like MGMT and
Mm,
that type of sound. But I feel like they're not even that far away from that type of synth sound. Like me personally, like especially like the songs like Little Dark Age and stuff. And then
mm.
hearing your guys' music, I feel like you guys aren't too far in that genre.
We admired them, so it's a good camp to be in.
Do a show like anywhere, where'd you guys pick? Like to start off for this balloon duty?
Anywhere. Oh man, I would maybe say I feel like somewhere like Berlin. I think we would be able to hit it off because I don't have a name of a venue there, but I feel like there's different parts of Europe. I feel like we would kind of just fit a certain mold with the poppy colors and stuff, and then the fun vibes, but like with a little dark undertones sometimes. So yeah, I think about there. I maybe even somewhere like downtown Tokyo or something. But I think about like the concerts I wish I could have seen. You have like the Beatles at Yankee Stadium, Nirvana at live at Reading, like those kinds of bucket list concerts that you can't, that there's no way to be able to see. So something like that. Actually, Yankee Stadium would be cool. That would be a good homage to the tri-state. I would love that. My favorite venue of all time is Bowery Electric.
Oh,
So yeah, that Lower East Side atmosphere is something I greatly
relax.
miss. Yeah, yeah, and I've had some friends, music colleagues, who played there, and I'm like, man, you know, that's something I'd like to do. Or let me know if you ever go back there and you guys want someone else on the bill. We'll fly out. So yeah, but let's. This is a great question. I want to, actually, if we're thinking in terms of what it would do for GINkGO as a band and a business, I think my number one vote would actually be there's a coveted indie venue in Santa Ana, California called the Observatory. I think it'd be really, really special if we were able to get there.
Very cool.
Everyone from Men I Trust to Spill Tab to who else am I listening to? I don't know. Even like there's a new Blur album. I'm sure they've all played there. So it's a great venue. It's a moderately sized city for California, but it's kind of just in between LA and Anaheim. So it's kind of like in San Diego. So it's just a little hub where you can. It's kind of like going to White Plains or something where we're from. It's like okay, you'll go there for a couple of music venues or a brewery or whatever, but it's just a pit stop in between big cities. But yeah, that venue is the very very top of our list. So
Question.
okay,
Do you have any big projects coming up or anything that we should know about in the foreseeable future?
yeah. So we're already working on 3 new songs, maybe 4. We're trying to go even further in the what's trendy TikTok, I would say, without it sounding, pandery. So that's exciting. But the biggest thing we're working on is trying to get a tour going, a balloon duty tour. So our band is currently learning the Balloon Duty songs right now, our live band, and we want to play that all over the place. I had a meeting with NACA with a representative from there about talking to some schools, the National Association of Collegiate Arts, right? And activities, collegiate activities. And yeah, so hopefully we can have like a north to south, Southern California college tour. That's an idea. More shows. And yeah, we're going to round out 2023 in a big way. That's the plan.
That's
And we
exciting.
apologize. Thank you. And definitely. And we apologize to everyone who's like, because we've been asked about, well, wait a minute, it's summer and you guys are like such a summer band. You don't have like a whole schedule lined up for summer. And we were like, well, we were kind of taking a little bit of a live music sabbatical because of how hard we worked in the past year. And then, you know, everyone's got their lives outside of the band, families and stuff. So that was why. But we'll make up for it in a big way for sure.
They hear it first.
Yeah, exactly. You heard it in Taking Sound first.
So much for sitting down with me today. If you guys want to find out more information, I will leave in the description below where you can find GINkGO BaLBOA. Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you for having me and everybody. GINkGO BaLBOA.com, and please enjoy. Happy to have you.